Hi guys, it's the 31st of August 2020, episode 51 of Waxing On. We started this little journey back in May in the middle of lockdown. We've been in lockdown since about the middle week of March. And it's now the end of August. Lots of different information out in the media, but bottom line is the virus is still with us. So we're still continuing on. This week I promised there'd be something very different from what we had usually done. And today we're starting off with a look at some music and music-related items from a writer, director, producer, actor, and a very iconic figure for people from my generation, Jack Webb. Now, some of you may not recognize the name. Like say, from my generation, everybody recognizes Jack Webb as Sergeant Joe Friday from Dragnet, but he'd also done some movies before the TV series. And I've got a video here. This was actually based on a radio show that he'd been involved with, and it's called Pete Kelly's Blues. I'll just read you a little bit about the video. The music that made the 20s roar. Jack Webb stars as a Kansas City jazz cornist, and he takes on a vicious gang lord. The only thing faster than his famed deadpan delivery is a rapid-fire action. And the only thing more dynamic than the film's Dixieland blues-infused musical score is a stellar cast. And the cast in this movie was Janet Leigh, Lee Marvin, Martin Milner, who worked with Jack Webb later with Adam 12, and a couple of singers who were very well known in the jazz world. We had Peggy Lee and Ella Fitzgerald. Now, the video shows about a band that was running into problems with the crime bosses back in the 1920s, and it had a really good soundtrack. Now, Jack Webb was kind of associated with a lot of musical ventures, and he was quite an audiophile as well. So from the album, Pete Kelly's Blues, again, had been a radio series. Then it was the movie, and he put out some albums. And here's the one album. It says, Pete Kelly at Home, Pete Kelly 7, Jack Webb. So Jack Webb kind of facilitated the recording of this album. And it's a Dixieland album, recorded back in 1957. I'll read off the name of the artist on it. I'm afraid I'm not familiar with many of them, but maybe it'll mean something to some of you. Trumpet player was Dick Cathart. Trombone, Abe Lincoln. Well, that name sounds familiar, but I don't think it's the same one. Clarinet, Matty Matlock. Saxophone, Jack Chaney. Piano was Ray Sherman. Bass, Judd Donat. Guitar and banjo, George Van Epps. And on drums, Nick Fatul. And this was recorded just at one of their houses. Again, to kind of tie in with the movie and with the radio show. And Jack Webb was, again, very involved with this. Now, in addition to the movies, Jack Webb also took a stab at recording. And he did an album. I'll show you a picture of, this is the newer version of the cover. It's not quite the one I had. I have it only in download, so I don't actually have the hard copy of this one. I'm just going to stand up so you can see it better. Youre My Girl by Jack Webb. Now, if any of you are familiar with Jack Webb's style of delivery, this is like Joe Friday doing an album. Jack didn't actually sing on it. He had an orchestra behind him, and what he did was he recited the lines to the songs while the orchestra played. Now, again, this was back in the late 50s, so I don't know if a lot of this happened back in those days, but it was a way he could get the music out there. But for me, it was a very unusual album to have like Joe Friday reciting these lines to these love songs and that lush string orchestra in the background. Now, he wasn't the only one that did this. 50 so years later, who else does it but another very iconic actor, one that has a very specific delivery, and it was William Shatner. William Shatner has a number of albums out on the streaming networks there where he is doing the same kind of thing, doing his style of reciting the lines while the band plays behind. Now, the difference being, I think Jack Webb actually was serious about this. I mean, he was very much pro music. He was very much trying to get that out there. I think he did an album like this, but it was a serious album for him, something he really believed in. I'll leave it up to you. Listen to the ones by Shatner. I don't think the honesty's there. I think they're more just of a put on, but again, that's up for you to decide. Jack Webb, a whole different story. Again, he tried the album. I'll just show you again from the movie here. Here's the catch line for it: Gats, Gams, and Gangsters, and the music that made the 20s roar. If you get a chance to check it out, I don't think it's on any of the streaming networks. It might be, you can check around. I got it on DVD. I can remember seeing it on TV years ago. It's from the early 1950s. Jack Webb directed and wrote it, as well as starred in it, but an excellent movie and a lot of great music. Again, with the Pete Kelly at Home, 1957 on this album. I found it in a discount bin. I don't think this is available either. You might find it on some of the streaming networks, or you might find maybe on YouTube sections referring to Jack Webb and Pete Kelly's Blues, but something to check out if you get the chance. Now, the other side, his live album, yes, that is available. A chance to check that out and see what I'm talking about, see what he'd done with his serious recording career. Okay, that wraps up episode 1. And I promised you this week we're going to be looking at people that you normally wouldn't think of being musicians doing recordings. Jack Webb, number 1. Wednesday, we're looking at another box office superstar. And on Friday, we're looking at an author. Stick around, check it out. Everybody stay home, stay safe, and we'll see you on Wednesday.